So Hollywood needs to start listening, as I'm sure you're all aware. They can fix things quite easily, actually. It's not that difficult to fix things. And we're going to go through in today's video and kind of discuss how, where, why, and the approach that Hollywood could take. Hollywood has been on the decline now for a very long time. A very, very long time, in fact. I mean, we could say more broadly, maybe about a decade. A lot of films have been in production for a long time. They've been greenlit. They're 3 years from inception point to, production, and then of course the finished product. So about a decade, more broadly, I guess, would work if you're going to speculate on the time period that Hollywood has been on the downward trend. So how do they fix it? How do they go around fixing it? Well, we're going to get to that. Before we do, if you're a returning viewer that isn't subscribed, please do hit that subscribe button. It helps me make videos like this a reality. And I will ask as well, ladies and gents, if you like what I do here, consider supporting me on Patreon. You can find it linked down below, maybe even in the pinned comment if I remember. But anyway, let's take a look. So all of this actually stemmed from this article. The entire video is inspired by this article from IGN, believe it or not. I know, madness, right? Absolute madness. IGN inspiring something other than pure ignorance. But they spoke to Leslie Headland of Acolyte fame. Or more famously, Leslie Headland, the former Harvey Weinstein personal assistant, which we can't ever let her forget because, of course, she might have seen some stuff. She might have seen some stuff and she might have slopped down on that agenda nonsense now. But boy, howdy, she may have turned a blind eye to a lot of things. May have. Got to say may have there a fair few times. So, we're going to pull a little bit. We're going to use the Acolyte as a case study, right? We're going to use the Acolyte as a case study and then, of course, move forward and just discuss how they can fix things. So, this whole article covers some stuff which I've spoken about already. But it also goes and discusses some stuff which I didn't see, actually. I didn't see at all. Not in the original interviews that I saw. Now, this is, of course, all about the cancellation, right? And there's quite some interesting things here, but also misguided and wrong, out and out lies. And this is how Hollywood can fix stuff. So we have this here, this quote. I was not surprised by the cancellation. I think I was surprised at the swiftness of it and the publicness of it. I was surprised by how it was handled, but once I was getting particular phone calls about the reaction and the criticism, that's important, and the viewership, I felt like, okay, the writing's on the wall for sure. So this excerpt, Headland went on to discuss the impact of Star Wars content creators on the Acolyte's performance and said Hollywood uses them almost like focus groups. Talking about people like me. Individuals that make videos, so quote-unquote influencers, basically. And that's quite interesting. How do you go about fixing Hollywood? There's a few things that are wrong with Hollywood. Obviously, narratives. How Hollywood approaches filmmaking in general is quite bad now. There is a subset of sort of socio-political narratives that they wish to push, and boy, do they push them. Much to the reluctance of any viewer wanting to chow down on it anymore. No one's watching this stuff. That's been well documented. People have kind of had enough of these things, so it shouldn't come as a surprise. And that's a large portion of the issue, right? A massive disconnect from the studio, the writers, the executives, the producers, and the content consumers. Those that, the studio might call fans, those individuals that are the potential customer, the clientele, as it were. But then there's also an issue, and this, how to fix Hollywood can be, it's kind of like a double whammy on all of this, to be honest, is the budgets and the marketing. And the marketing comes under the budgets, right? So how do you go about fixing Hollywood and their narrative? Well, you actually do what Leslie Headland said that they do, which they definitely don't do. Okay, they just don't do this. Because she says, The content that is being put out by the streamers or the studios is being snatched up by these other creators. And so commentaries, synopses, live videos, all of the ways that these creators make money through viewer-based ad revenues and their Patreons, there's a lot of money to be made. And by the way, have at it. Get your coin 100%. I will. But it revealed to me that there is a misunderstanding between the studios and that engagement. They think of it as fandom. And in ways it is, but studios use it almost like focus groups. Well, the thing is, it's not actually content creators that are sort of, well, one, content creators absolutely unequivocally are not steering the ship at any studio, right? They just aren't. There is no way in hell that they are, okay? Because a lot of individuals have been saying the same thing for a very long period of time. And so fundamentally, the Acolyte wouldn't have even been greenlit. Certainly not in the way that it was sent out, right? You know, 2 strong female antagonists, and this bizarre story, the whole lesbian space witches, all of this stuff. None of that would have got made. None of it would have got made if Lucasfilm and Disney were using content creators as focus groups, right? None of that would have got made. It wouldn't have even been greenlit. Not at all. Why? Well, because no matter how far you go back, right, in the series production, people have been saying this for a long time. And in terms of the overall viewership of individuals that have been saying this, a lot of views can be attributed to those individuals. So that clearly has its audience, right? You know, people care what those people are saying. They like those kind of videos. They keep going back for more. And then those content creators become popular as a result, because what they're saying is, broadly speaking, a cross-section of a majority cross-section of what the public is feeling. So if the studios were actually using these as focus groups, it wouldn't have even been made. It wouldn't have even been greenlit, right? Because it's not like, who honestly thought the Acolyte was going to be a good idea outside of the studio, right? We know that the viewership was terrible. And FYI, the content creators that are talking about these things, they don't speak for everyone, because not everyone's online. So they can capture the thought process of a broad section of the online community, but even then, they don't touch the surface, because if you just look at the viewership, right, the viewership of the Acolyte was terrible, and that's just from normies switching it on and going, Jesus, this is bad, let me switch off. Individuals not even associated with, you know, online discourse, turn that on and turn it off. They were not interested in watching it and continuing it, because fundamentally the narrative's terrible. Again, that can be attributed down to a few things. More broadly, probably just because they have an insane focus on pushing certain narratives, which definitely strong arms creativity, and that's clearly just a fact. So, yeah, actually do use, you know, the online discourse as a barometer. Not a sole barometer, though, but a barometer of what could and should be made. Right? That's how you fix a lot of this stuff. Actually start listening to people. It's not like this is a new conversation that people have been having. People have been having this conversation for years now. Years and years and years. Right? Hollywood's been going downhill for years. Now, the other thing which can be roped up into this, just another way to fix Hollywood in general, to fill out this video a little bit more. Not that I need to, but I think it's worthwhile making it as part of this video, and I've said it before in another video, is the budgets. Studios need to remember, right? They need to remember how the market has changed and change their marketing accordingly. These films have ridiculous marketing budgets, $100 million in some instances. Now, most people just see a trailer, right? A trailer can have 25 million views. 25 million. That's mad. That's insane. And you could just release that. You could just release it. People will find it. People will share it. We're in a completely different era of marketing. Most studios have a streaming platform. You can do direct-to-consumer marketing. Direct-to-consumer marketing. You could put your trailers at the start of all of those dog shit shows that no one's watching. If you changed what I've already said, people would be watching it. And then you could show a trailer to them. And they could be excited for the next thing. Also, word of mouth. Word of mouth is a large portion of marketing. Remember that. People seem to forget that all the time. There are movies that have, terrible hype, but they come out and they're really good movies. And so word of mouth contributes massively to their overall box office performance. But the budgets have to come down. One of the ways of doing that is, of course, marketing. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that one would assume that a lot of, the marketing budget is probably being washed somehow. So maybe they don't want to reduce it, but you need to. Stop being reliant on weird marketing companies. You don't need them. You've got your own streaming platform. Why aren't you just marketing to people on there? Why aren't you realizing that your massive YouTube channels is the marketing? Just release the goddamn trailer. Who in their right mind thinks it's intelligent now to spend $100 million on marketing? That's insane. People know when movies are coming out. It's not 50 years ago, for God's sake. People are aware. And even if you're a normie, okay, maybe you'll be caught by the word of mouth. But anyway, you do actually need to start, using the online discourse from fans as a barometer for what should be made. They haven't been doing that. You should be doing that. Just start listening to people. Now, it's the barometer. You don't have to always rely on it. And goddamn, reduce those budgets. The fact that this is even there, to say that, use them like a focus group. You don't use them like a focus group. We know you don't. The Acolyte wouldn't have been made otherwise. Anyway, there you go. That's how I'd fix Hollywood. That's how I'd help to fix Hollywood anyway. Do it. Do it now.